And we are moving into our second conversation for today. We're getting a head start. World Diabetes Day is November 14th every single year, and we know this is an issue we need to keep on talking about in Belize. And so we have with us two representatives from the Belize Diabetes Association. We have William Dawson, who's the public relations, and we have the executive secretary, Desiree Daniels. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
So I want to find out about the association to start off with. You know, we're used to some familiar faces coming in, but it seems that things have shifted around at the association. A recent AGM? No, I'm kidding.
Not really. We just take turn to come out and promote diabetes.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Love it.
Why are you involved with this association?
I am involved with the association as a supporter because my dad was diabetic. Therefore, I needed to learn more about the disease and how to care for him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I have a son who's a juvenile diabetic, DeAndre. He was diagnosed at 4 years old. He's now 17 and he's been living with the condition and learning how to manage it.
Yeah. So as observers to people living with this disease, what's the one thing you've learned about what it's like to live with diabetes?
Well, you know, it is a chronic condition, but if managed well, it does not have to be fatal, you know, and statistics have shown that there is at least 18% of Belizeans living with the condition. And so we're trying our best to build awareness because it is a serious condition if not managed, and many deaths have been attributed from diabetes.
In fact, one of the leading causes of death continuously in this country is diabetes related, whether it's complications or even up to renal failure. That's a very alarming
Yes, it is.
issue because of what you've said.
Yeah.
You know, it's 18% now, still a significant number, but management can help a lot.
It can help.
Yeah.
And that's why we're trying to build awareness and through, as Ms. Des will talk a bit more about some of the events leading up to World Diabetes Day this year.
Why is it so hard to manage? From your observation, from your conversations with the support group, with the association, why do people struggle in management?
Most people struggle in management because sometimes they don't really give much thought to being diabetic and how it affects them on a daily level.
Yeah.
So they would go about, and although you know that you're not supposed to be eating and drinking unhealthy foods like the sodas especially and the high carbs food, fried food, most people are out working majority of the day, so they just grab anything to eat and so on. So it's more that you need to manage what you eat, cook home, and take along your food to work or school as it relates to type 1 diabetics. And it's most of all poor management.
You know, I have to confess that I know both of you closely. A personal friend of mine and my dad's best friend's daughter. So, but what is interesting for me is I'm looking at your shirt, family and diabetes. A lot of times you look at the disease and the person actually is suffering through it, but we don't factor in and appreciate what the people who love them and are around them go through when they have their dips, or when, in the case of maybe an amputation, when your dad was a very powerful, articulate, independent man.
Right.
And I can remember when he got his leg removed, that he was a bit different. How are you able to emotionally manage the side effect? And I know the effect of it now is that you've been positively active in the association, but how does it done a day to day? How do you manage looking at somebody that you love, your son, your father, and managing the emotional ups and downs of the disease, and you have no control at all?
It's most of all acceptance, you know. Acceptance is what is very important when you're diagnosed with diabetes, because accepting the condition helps you to live a more healthy lifestyle. You need to drink your medication and know that people are there for you, and hence the reason for the theme this year, the family and diabetes. You need the support of the family.
Yeah.
That is very important to make sure that the diabetic is being treated normal, and the family could even eat together, and so that they know that I don't have to be eating this sort of food and then you eat that sort of food.
I'm on a diabetes diet. I'm different.
And the whole thing is that healthy eating for the entire family, not only the diabetic.
William, I want to hear some of your insight, because juvenile diabetes is scary for a parent, especially when they get diagnosed at 4. You know, you're talking about dropping sugar in the middle of the night that your child may die because they don't know all the signs and symptoms as yet. Your child is now 17, DeAndre said?
Yes.
Okay, DeAndre is now 17. Tell me what it was like for you to have to be with him on this journey as he learned to live with the disease and you learned how to help him live with the condition.
Well, you know, DeAndre being diagnosed was one of the main reasons why I joined the Diabetes Association. I really wanted to know more. As you quite rightly mentioned, it was very scary having a child living with the condition, and all of us know children, especially around that early age of 4 to 17, love to indulge in sweets and unhealthy
That's all their
eating.
friends have.
Yeah, you know, and it tore him up psychologically, and myself as his dad, you know. And that's why I like this year's theme, the family and diabetes, because it really takes the entire family to support. Because there were times that I was, you know, overwhelmed, you know, and going to work or having to go to work and can't leave work or have to explain why I have to leave work on such a regular basis to attend to my only son, you know. So there's a lot of battles involved personally trying to assist him to get through. But through the association, we have made major strides in building awareness, even in the schools. And that's one of our plans, to actually go into the schools and even into the workplace, because sometimes you have co-workers who are diabetic, and we don't know how to treat them, you know, if they go into a diabetic shock or otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's important to build awareness. And in our children, like, you know, the association, we lost 3 young people in the past 3 years consecutively from the condition. So for us, it's no more talk. We're walking this year and making sure that we get the word out. Diabetes is a silent killer if it's not, if you don't have the awareness and the ability to manage the condition. We're taking it very seriously.
You have an excellent program, your summer camp, where you get all kids together who have this illness together, this condition together, and they learn together how to manipulate in a world that isn't very helpful with diabetes. And I want to ask, because it takes a certain level of confidence and awareness of a child to say, well, I'm not gonna have, whether it's the meat pie, the sweet, the soda, the ideal, and recognize, okay, my sugar is high, I need to take my insulin shot right now. That's a level of maturity required by children that I know most of us wouldn't have been able to do. How'd you get your child there? How'd you get DeAndre to that point? And were there struggles in between?
Yeah, well, a lot of struggles, like I said. One of the things that really helped was we had the opportunity to go to Trinidad a couple of years ago, and he met with other juvenile diabetics internationally. This was a camp that it housed or entertained like several youths from several Caribbean countries. So he found out that I'm not the only one. That was the main thing, you know. I'm not the only one suffering from the condition, and the camp was structured in such a way that some of the older camp members actually started in the camp when they were young. Some of them are doctors now, so they get to give back to the camp. And so the support group was amazing, because all through the night I could remember them waking up the other younger camp members to check their sugar and that type of stuff. And they had fun event with them. So that was one of the main things. So at the end of the day, the support is necessary dealing with the juvenile diabetic.
There are certain good things going on. We recently had an announcement from the Minister of Health that sodas, that there's a move towards taking sodas out of schools for young people, which is a huge and positive step forward. What other steps would you like to see, particularly as it relates to juvenile diabetes, things that we could do to sort of restrict their access, to give them a better chance?
Well, one of the things that we have planned in the list of events leading up to World Diabetes Day is to go into the schools. What we want to do is to meet with the schools administration and try to have them institute healthy alternatives for the children when there's break time. Instead of just chips and biscuit, maybe have some fruits and other healthy stuff.
Other things that we used to like kashama and
because you know, as
and
children, we had more access to fruits and vegetables.
Mine was all sweets and junk. That was my childhood, yeah. But, you know, that's important, getting the sugar out of the school if they can. Can I ask a question? Is there a level of stigma that people who have diabetes, I know I've heard children say it, that they get called names sometimes, you know, sugar belly, sweet something, you know, because, and especially as kids, we pick on the ones who are different. But is it the same with adulthood? What are we finding out?
There are still adults who hide the fact that they are diabetic. Yeah. So I know that the stigma is there as well for adults. Yeah. So it's more education. People need to be educated more and more that it's a condition and people who are diabetics are no different. You know, so it all boils down to more education.
Looking at the theme of families and diabetes, is there also, like for example, in your case, did you, when your dad was diagnosed, did you also say, well, I have to check to see if maybe I am somehow affected, that it's something that...
It's genetically, you could be affected genetically as well as lifestyle, and more it's through lifestyle as opposed to only genetics, no? But whenever I do my yearly, I always check. I always make sure that I mention that diabetes runs in my family. Therefore, I would like to check as well. Yeah. So it's important to check on a yearly basis when you go and do your annual yearly checkup.
It's important to check annually, period. But if you know you have a family member who's diabetic, you are predisposed as well. You have to make an added effort to check. And to be clear, there are two types. There's the type you're born with, and there's the type that you develop, which is what we see, lifestyle, and sometimes it's major illness as well. But the theme is important, and I want to hear your stories as to what difference it makes when a family is on board with a diabetes management plan or a diabetic is the one doing it alone. Why is it so important that you made it the theme for this year?
Well, the theme is very important. Diabetes is 8 times more pervasive than HIV and AIDS. A lot of people don't understand the seriousness of the condition if it's not managed well. So there has to be a great support system, because a lot of people don't necessarily die from diabetes, but diabetes-related conditions, you know, and we can see the high rise in people needing dialysis in Belize. These sometimes are stemmed from being a diabetic, you know, and eye problems are diabetic retinopathy, and these types of conditions are very prevalent right now in our country. And so the family needs to support and be there for individuals who are diagnosed with diabetes. It's still a taboo subject in Belize. I don't know, I could remember going to sixth form back in the days, and if a person loses weight, everybody say, oh, he got sugar. You know, they're just suggesting that maybe he has HIV or AIDS, because the condition does have with weight loss, you know, and other ailments that go along with it. So the family needs to be supportive, and supportive in the sense that even choosing what is prepared in the household, being supportive when that person is sick and it weighs on an individual psychologically heavily. So there must be a unique support system in place to help counter that condition.
Do you find that there are the signs and the symptoms of diabetes? So we talk about family support, and that's important. And if we take a look at management especially, it means that sometimes you have to kind of be strict with people. How do you balance not being dictatorial? And that, I imagine, is probably harder as the daughter than it was as the father. You know, I know people with diabetes, and sometimes I want to say something too, but it's how do you help them make choices but not become, you know, that dictator saying, don't have that, you know, you can't drink that, and scolding and all of that all the time? Tell me your experience being a daughter trying to tell your dad.
Well, I could tell you that my dad used to say, "You're a dictator." And
I used the right word. All right.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think the main thing is to make sure that the food that they're not supposed to eat is around the house. Because if you go into the refrigerator and it's there, then the urge to have it and to eat it will be
Okay.
much more than if it is not in the house. So that is one thing that I know for sure, that you need to look at the groceries that you buy on a weekly basis or however you normally do your shopping, to make sure that you have mostly healthy foods in the groceries. Another thing is for everybody to eat what is on the table. Not because a person is diabetic, you cook a certain meal for that person, like vegetables and a little bit of meat, and everybody.
This is an example of what
Look
not
at
to
this
eat.
plate. That is an example of
That's
what
Sunday?
that's
Not
pure
to eat.
carbs.
This is
right.
Sunday. This is not carrot. This is Sunday.
No, this will
Starches.
this
The
will
only
put
thing
your
missing now-
diabetic in serious conditions.
only
This is
thing
why
missing-
we have such a high rate.
Harry.
And the only thing missing there is a slice of plantain. You
Yeah.
know that.
No, but I'm just saying to be clear, because you're talking
Oh,
about
there it
healthy
is.
diet.
Right.
This is what not to eat.
Not
Yeah,
to eat.
yeah.
So the plate should have more vegetables, protein, the meat, and a little bit
Again,
of
food,
carb.
all food that we're
Oh,
not
yes.
to eat. I just don't want to confuse what you're saying and what you're
Yes,
seeing.
so
Yeah.
because my dad is diabetic, that does not mean that I was supposed to be eating the hot dogs and the burgers and sit with all the fries and the fried food in front of him while he eat his vegetables. We need the family support so that we all have one pot of food and we eat that together.
I was making light of it, but the truth is that there's a cultural connection
Right.
between our bad eating habits, whether it be in food or desserts,
Yes,
and our lack of exercise.
that's true.
But there's also another aspect of it too, in terms of habits. Belize, as I tell people all over the world, we are a drinking culture. I have a friend who is diabetic, and no matter what, he's drinking on a Friday. How do we balance our habits, which probably, or drug dependencies, because alcohol is a drug, and the need to be healthy, as well as to balance our cultural tendencies, rice and beans pan on Sunday, with fried chicken, 6 o'clock for an ichi. How do we balance those things as opposed to living healthy? How do we do it? How?
Well, for us, it's like we have to get the reality check that we're dying from this condition. That's the reality. And although culturally we are used to certain things, it's not helping us at all to live longer, healthier lives. So we have to understand that it's not what we're used to culturally, it's what we have to get with the times, and understand that if we want to live longer, prosperous lives, we have to take our health into serious consideration, something that is not put on the forefront in Belize. Healthcare needs to go on the forefront, not only on a governmental level, but personally. We have to take better care of our health and understand what is good for us and what's not good. And so at the end of the day, the numbers tell for itself. I think nearly from the statistics, we get like 200,000 Belizeans are overweight.
Yep.
You know, so that's a lot. And we
Two
need
out
to
of
take,
every 3 Belizeans is either obese or overweight.
yeah, so that's serious. We have to take it into consideration.
Belly fat is one of the main risk factors for diabetes, especially in women.
Right, obesity.
Yes.
So it is because of what it takes to have the extra fat around your stomach.
Yeah.
It makes you more prone.
Yeah.
And that's it's a challenge because it is overcoming cold. We all want with rice and beans. We all want many of these things. But you said something so important. It's not, people always say, oh, you know, you're going to die someday. But what is the quality
Something
of
kill me.
life and what
Before
diabetes does from making you blind to losing your limbs to shutting down your kidneys? You're not talking living long, you're talking suffering long.
Yes, and along with the expenses that comes along with it.
Yeah.
For paying for dialysis, for example, or medication, when certain diseases arise. It's a lot.
Or being
it's a lot
confined to
that
a wheelchair. You know?
Your movement changes.
But the financial thing is killer too, though, because it actually, even while you're going through it, it's putting your family through a really difficult thing. And then after you're gone, I'm sure the medical bills probably live longer than you do.
Yeah. True. Now, can we get one of the messages out in terms of maintaining your condition? And I know that more and more, this is what people are saying about diabetes. It's not just about taking your insulin when your sugar is high. Like, it's not just, okay, I'm going to take a pill because I overdid it. It's about keeping balance. How are we doing in moving towards this new message? You have your support group, you all have your own individual family members. How are we encouraging the current people who are associated with the BDA to understand that message?
Okay, well, part of it is that I hope we could get to some of the planned events we have in November, and getting out there and getting our voices, getting people to understand that we're not willing to sit by anymore and just watch this happen. I mean, individually, like I said, we have to get on board, even if you're not a diabetic. Understand the seriousness of the condition and spread the word. And it's very difficult because there's a lot of psychological trauma involved with having the condition, because like you said, it's hard to tell someone not to eat that when they're already used to it, not to drink that, they're already used to it. But if we start to measure the rate at which people are dying and get it out there, how many amputees there are because of this condition, how many kidney issues are developing because of diabetes and diabetes-related conditions, then I think we'll bring a harder and stronger message about the condition. Then it becomes a matter of life and death, really and truly. And there's so many other illnesses that are out there, but diabetes is one of the ones that I don't think is getting enough attention right now as we speak. It's serious, one of the #1 killers in Belize.
Yeah.
I have a very abrasive question. Is this a battle we can't win? No matter how much we talk? So, I mean, Belizean's favorite line is, something have to kill me. And a lifestyle change is like the worst thing for us.
Yeah.
So my basic question is the messaging, all the warnings, all the effort, all the work, all the sacrifices that the Diabetes Association or all the conscious people who are joining into the fight, that they're doing to try to save people from themselves, is a fight we can't win? It's like the drugs fight, we just can't win it.
It's not about winning the fight, I think, but if we get one more person to take better care of themselves, to live a longer, healthier life, we've won.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And I find that Belizeans more and more we're being aware and we live more healthy lifestyle. I see more people making healthy foods to eat, so we're getting there.
You know, you're right. I really think, as Kevin said it, I was thinking, man, you know, but I've seen a change. I've seen more people talking about being healthy, eating healthy, attempting to get out and exercise, even if they're not consistent.
Right.
So it seems that maybe we need to do a study and find out how many people are trying to get healthy and make sure they have the right information.
Right.
Yeah. Now, and part of your message, which I don't want us to lose, is healthy eating is, we had a nutritionist on yesterday, she said 70% of getting healthy is what you put in your body.
Right.
That's right.
30% is the exercise. So the majority is what you eat, but we got to get the exercise into. And so you do that with your annual awareness walk.
Yes, the annual diabetes walk will be held on Saturday, November 3rd at 6 o'clock in the morning. The walk will leave from Crystal Auto Rental at 5 miles on Philip Colson Highway to IT Vet on Freetown Road. The, transportation will be provided free of cost to go to Crystal Auto Rental, and where we all walk down together at 6 o'clock in the morning. The transportation will start at 5 o'clock and 5:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So we ask for support of the general public, the families, co-workers, everybody to come out and do the walk. We have t-shirts for sale at the office for $25 each.
And that's a fundraiser.
Yes, it is a fundraiser. This is one of our main fundraisers for the year, along with our diabetes ride. But before I reach at the diabetes ride, I would like the public to also know that we will be having breakfast available for sale after the ride, after the walk, sorry, as well as free fruits for all those who do participate.
So the
Along with
walk is on November 3rd.
3rd,
And then the
correct.
following weekend, you're going to have the ride.
Right.
For those who are in better shape.
Right.
But I have to say this. That on shorter distance than the Cancer Society walk. Then walk
Yes.
from Ladyville.
Yes.
Why is it a shorter route?
Because it's a 5-mile walk, and we mostly do the 5 mile as opposed to a longer walk because we want everybody to be involved.
Accessibility.
Right, and we find that older persons do the walk as well as younger persons, so it's manageable.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And this year's walk is going to be upbeat.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be upbeat.
Well,
You gotta
Yes.
tell us those secrets that you're holding back there.
Like a mini Juve.
Yeah, we want to really, walk out, ride out, dance out. We're going to get diabetes on track this year. We're going to fight diabetes. And so we're doing our best to get it up tempo.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
November 3rd.
Yes,
Now,
we also have a giveaway for the person who sells the most shirts. We'll have a grand prize for that person along with other giveaways after the walk. Therefore, we're asking persons to stay behind and socialize a bit and hear more about the diabetes and get some education in as well.
is there a registration fee?
No,
Okay.
we don't, any contribution is welcome.
Okay. Now, the fundraising part is important because you
Yes.
give free strips to people who can't afford it. And that's one of the most important costs for a diabetic, right?
These strips are not necessarily free, but we sell them for $1 each.
It's one of the cheapest.
Yeah, that's
Cheap,
Yeah.
yes.
It's close to
$50 per
Yeah.
cup. Yes, it is. And
Yeah.
we provide the machine as well,
Okay.
right?
Now, the ride takes place.
Before the ride, we'll have a church service on Sunday, the 4th of November at All Saints Church at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we are asking for everyone to come out to the church service as well so that we could sing and praise and worship together and give thanks for life.
love it.
Yeah.
Right? Then we have the Ride Out Diabetes, the 10th annual Ride Out Diabetes. The diabetes ride is a 2-day ride. The first day is from Corozal to Belize. It starts at 6 o'clock in the morning in front of Tony's Inn in Corozal, and we ride to Belize City. It ends at IT Vet. The second day is from Santa Elena Cayo in front of ICB office to Belize City, IT Vet as well. We have a $25 registration fee. The fee covers servicing, which we provide snacks, we provide energy drinks, Powerade, water, and power bars and gels as well. So we urge our cyclists and riders on a whole, all the participants to register for this ride because this is one of our main fundraisers for the year.
All right. And then the actual day is on November 14th.
Yes, that is World Diabetes Day. We have the health fair. The health fair will be held at Battlefield Park, that's downtown on Albert Street, from 9 in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The Belize Diabetes Association will be having free glucose testing to the general public. So we ask everyone to come out and get tested, know where you stand as it relates to diabetes. And we will also have other organizations joining us, the Belize Cancer Society, the Belize Red Cross, the Belize Kidneys Association.
It's a big thing, man.
Yes, so you could come out and visit all the various booths, Hecopab, Bradley's Imports. They will be displaying some of their health services that they offer as well.
All right. What's your final message to people out there, those living with diabetes and the rest of us who are just trying to get healthy?
To come out and support us, support our cause, support all our activities that we will be having leading up to World Diabetes Day, and to live healthy. drink your medications, exercise, and eat healthy.
Okay.
Oh, I'm urging everyone to learn more about the condition, and not because maybe you're not a diabetic selfishly, you say, oh, I don't want to support the walk or the ride. Come out and bring out the entire family. You know, this is Belize, and we love Belize, and for us to have a prosperous Belize, we have to make it a healthy Belize, and so that's all of our business. And so we're urging everyone to come out. Diabetes affects everyone, and there are some high-profile people who are diabetic, so we're urging everyone to be a part
Chief
of
Magistrate.
yes, you know, to come out and be a part of the walk and the ride and support the Diabetes Association this year.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about it. And I'm assuming these are also part of your fundraiser here, your special bags.
Yes.
Everybody's getting ready for the no plastic era, right? You can
That's right.
purchase these?
Those are more for promotion and publicity purposes.
Okay, great. Family and diabetes, we
Diabetes.
all got to get on board. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it and best of luck.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the Belize Association of Persons with Diverse Abilities. Stay tuned.